Hi there, I'm Rose Hedberg, your writing coach, and today we are answering your writing questions. We asked, what do you struggle with most when you are writing? And we're here to answer. So let's jump in. So who are these questions from? Well, we sent out a survey to ask you what your biggest struggles are when it comes to writing. Wow, we're amazed by the feedback that came in, and personally, I'm very excited to talk about writing and offer some solutions for these struggles. So in this video, we will provide some rapid fire solutions to some of the struggles that you have. Please ignore the dorkiness. Get excited about writing. Let's begin. Struggle number 1, you said, after giving some thought about what I want or need to write, actually sitting down and starting the process. That's where the struggle lies. Totally get it. I feel the same way. This idea of the blank page, the writer's block, but it can be fixed. Number 1, remember that your mindset matters. So telling yourself over and over, this is a task I can do. It's just writing. You got this. Secondly, I would encourage you to think about the space in which you are developing for writing. You use the word sitting here. Maybe you need to be standing. Maybe physically you need to be alternating the space in which you are using, or how you're using it is what I should say. I had a professor once who was helping me with public speaking who said I needed to walk into the space, and I use that now with my writing. When it's time for me to write, I do some stretching, some breathing, and then I physically walk into my desk and start. So thinking about how you're approaching writing physically will help you. And lastly, you can try either resource constraint, which is where you take your computer to a coffee shop but don't bring your charger. You can only work until your battery is dead, or using a timer. Sometimes these extra pressures can provide you the space in which you don't have wiggle room you need to be writing. So good luck, you got this. Struggle number 2, you said, I have so much to say. So my struggle is keeping the concept and message clear while not using too many words. Totally get it. First of all, allow yourself to be very messy. First drafts need to be just word vomit and messy. That's okay. Next, in order to kind of develop those skills to making sure you are being concise, is I would encourage you to rethink your editing process. For me, I write a messy draft and I walk away. You can come back to it 15 minutes later, an hour, sometimes the next day, and re-looking at that work after you've stepped away will give you a more critical eye. You can also try re-looking at your writing early in the morning. Science shows that after our brain has had some great REM sleep, we are more critical, and you need to be critical when you're editing. You can also try reading your work out loud. It sounds weird, but I promise you will hear when you've been wordy, or maybe you've added something that doesn't make sense. Your inner voice will help to guide you. So use some of these tips to guide your writing, keeping it concise and clear and not using too many words. You got this. Next struggle, everything. You said starting the writing, ensuring that it flows well together, ensuring that I haven't left out important topics or points. First of all, I love that you use the word everything. Everything is a struggle. Take a deep breath. Remember that writing is a series of steps. So you're going to start with small ideas, just jotting things down. You're going to build an outline, and then you can flesh out and create a proposal from there. So step by step will help you. You might also consider walking away from the computer and explaining your answer to a friend or a colleague. That will help you to kind of work through your ideas and hear how it sounds when you're actually talking to someone. You can also record yourself, or in Google Docs, you can actually use voice typing. If you go to Google Docs and then you use the resource bar tools, go down and it says voice typing, you can actually start talking and Google will dictate that for you. This might be a better way for you to get everything out and to get things moving, and then make sure that you're getting those important topics and points. Next struggle, you said being able to put the story of an organization that I have little history with into words. Remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So the solution here would be to use what you have. So go to their website, grab content that they have, and then next, don't be afraid to work with your client. Your client is passionate and knows the history of their organization. And I promise if you go to them in interview, asking a series of questions and recording it, they will essentially write that for you and be able to fill in the gaps. So use what you have, don't overthink it, and build that connection with the client so that you are not doing more work than you have to. Next struggle. You said there is so much wonderful information to share about a program. So I struggle with writing concise sentences with depth. The solution is to remember that being concise and being in depth don't have to be contradictory. In grant writing, a series of short declarative sentences can give depth because you're providing a full picture. So just don't get too mixed up in the idea of style, provide information. The next thing you might want to consider is I had a fellow grant writer. She challenged me to explain some of my concepts or my answers to proposal questions like I was speaking to my grandmother. So trying to create language that is simple and clear and easy to hold on to, such as I would explain to my grandmother. So that might be something you could try. And lastly, you're going to have to practice cutting the fluff. There is a lot of information, but I promise if you're reading out loud, you will be able to hear what information is irrelevant to the question you're trying to answer. Keep practicing and you will get there. Next struggle, you said, I need to be accurate yet persuasive. So assuring that I am writing from the perspective of the grant giver. It is something that is hard to see. Well, first of all, great job stepping into the funder's shoes, trying to think about it from their perspective. Yes, that's going to help so much. But for the solution here, remember, don't overthink persuasion. It's really not as complicated as the idea seems. If you're really struggling with it, stick to the tools that work well. Use facts, statistics, measurable results, collaborations, and impact. These numbers will help to support you in being persuasive that your project works. So don't overthink it, stick to what you know, and you got this. All right, our next struggle here. You said, the work in my head is infinitely better than what I put on the page. This disconnect is baffling and frustrating. In essence, the struggle is with the skills of good writing. First of all, welcome to being a writer. There is always that struggle where we feel like there's a disconnect between the beautiful ideas in our head and what's coming out on the page. Solutions here are number one, accept the fact that first drafts are going to suck. That's why they're called first drafts. We are way too hard on ourselves as grant writers and writers, and so the first step here would be to let it out, take a deep breath, and move on to the next part, which would be editing the next day, rereading it. I also want to encourage you, if you feel like you need to work on bridging the gap between your ideas and what's coming out on paper, is to challenge yourself to practice writing in an endurance writing setting. Endurance writing means that you are sitting down and you are continually writing for a set amount of time. It's just like a muscle. You're building muscle by practicing the skill of endurance writing over and over. The more you can do this either on a weekly basis or daily basis, the stronger you will get at being able to just sit down and filter through what's going on in your head in a more coherent way. So you're going to bridge that gap through some endurance writing. Another struggle, you said, trying to be more creative with my writing style. I read stuff in the New Yorker and think, wow, how did they do that? Great place to read and build your energy for creative writing. But I am going to say that right here in grant writing, you can mix your style. Don't worry about it too much because the point of grant writing is to be smooth, cohesive, and coherent with your writing. It's not too much about style. On a personal and creative level, I do want to say that a solution for you to get to a better level of writing would be to write, and write some more. That's the only way you're going to build this skill, as well as reading. Every time you're reading, you're actually practicing writing because you're absorbing what good writing looks like. So writing, reading, and then adding in a bit of creative practice. So you can do prompt writing or maybe storytelling, something that's going to engage the fun side of writing and will build that passion for coming to the page continually. Another struggle here, you said self-confidence and getting to the point. Self-confidence, yes, this is the number one thing that I work on in writing workshops because a lot of writers come to the practice of writing with such amazingly large barriers, and it all starts within. So some solutions here I would say is to remember that this is a skill, writing, is a skill that anybody can achieve with practice. So growth is going to come from continual practice, whether that's daily, which you don't have to be a daily writer to get better at it. You could be weekly, but some sort of practice either in journaling or prompt writing will help for you to build those writing muscles. I also encourage you to build the self-confidence through celebrating your micro wins. If you finish an email you didn't want to write, or perhaps you've finished a single grant question in a proposal, like give yourself some grace. You did it. You at least got through a draft. That's going to help you to remember that this is something you can achieve over time, step by step. And then lastly, I want to say that Ray Bradbury has this wonderful quote, and he says, "In quickness, there is truth." The faster you write, the more you can spit it out, the better your ideas will become, and you'll be able to find the point because you're writing quickly. You're not hesitating and circling the answer. Practice, celebrate, and write as fast as you can. These will help you to build some confidence and get to the point. And the last struggle here, you said getting from concept to completion, explaining all the details in a logical order and not forgetting something in there that helps paint the whole picture. My solution to you here is to say and remember that you are like an IKEA manual when you are explaining things in proposals. Think of how an IKEA manual, because you have to build it yourself, includes, what does it include first? It has the diagram of the whole picture so you can understand what the concept is. Then it has an explanation of each part. And then it goes through logically what comes first, what builds on that over and over again. So if you can kind of repeat these steps, whole picture, what's included, step by step, you'll be able to actually write better in your proposals, painting that whole picture. And also remember, you got this. Don't overthink it. Just write what happens, A, B, C, and it will come together. You will find a way to bring the concept to completion in your writing. Woo! There you have it, 10 solutions to 10 writing struggles from you all in our community. Maybe if you still have questions, we are here. Feel free to email us at info@zenworks. Perhaps you want a little bit more. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we have free grant writing and writing training on our channel. Thanks for joining us. Good luck and happy writing.